Yo, YouTube friends, we are here again to study the Wing Gambit, and the Wing Gambit is something that I should have played a lot earlier in my career. One of the problems I had when I was a tournament player was facing the Sicilian defense because I'm an E4 player, and the Sicilian defense gave me a lot of trouble, and I was very aggressive against it, and they were very aggressive back against me, and there were just so many variations of it that it became very difficult for me to respond to them all. And it's a thing that a lot of players played, and there's a lot of theory involved for black, and it's fast developing. And I would have spent my life studying theory of that particular opening, and it's one of the reasons that I decided to pursue business and make money instead of continue on and do all kinds of chess things in my life. So, um, the Wing Gambit is something that I was fortunate enough to play against Paul Carez once upon a time, and he played it against me and killed me. And it was a beautiful game, and he got in all kinds of advances in d5 and various things, one of his favorite moves, and it completely destroys black's ability to play the Sicilian defense, if you know what you're doing with the Wing Gambit. And I've been studying it more and more, and I play it almost exclusively, and there are a variety of ways that you can play it in terms of move order. I play kind of unorthodox moves. So you want to create a situation where b4 is in black's own way, and force him into some sort of unfavorable French. If he decides to play an open game against you, that is playable as black, but the problem is that um, it's very sharp, and they really have to understand the theory. So this is a game against somebody rated 2255 Blitz, and I played it online, and we're going to start our engine, and you're going to see just how quickly they can go wrong again. Once again, the white arrows are Stockfish 8's analysis. D5, standard move. I like playing a knight to f3 here, simply because I was mixing up the move order a little bit, and I've noticed it forces black more times than not to play e6 and go into that unfavorable French formation. But this person was fairly aggressive, and so we just pursued the capture, and now we've gotten into a position where it's, in my opinion, really good for white, although here we have the engine saying that it's an even game basically. So these are standard moves. That's a mistake there, in my opinion. Knight to c6, it's playable, but they really have to know the lines. So preferable moves would have been knight to f6 or e6, something like that. Now they get c4, which again the computer says is no good for white. And of course, since we have the unsound chess theory here, we're going to go ahead with this. And an interesting thing here is it considers just allowing the check, allowing b3 discovered check by simply chasing the knight with d5 right away. So that is the preferred line. I played knight because I see a gain of time coming with knight to b3 and a variety of things. Preventing discovered checks is a priority of mine. So now it says e6 is practically necessary. This person played his knight out, giving me a big advantage. So it is interesting that e6 was an even game, but knight to f6 isn't. And this speaks volumes to why you need to understand what the move orders are exactly and why and how, because when d5 comes, e6 was a preventative for that. d5 creates real problems, and basically it says he should be exchanging off his bishop in this case. Instead he moves back. Now you're going to see me falter in a number of different ways here because I'm not as good as the computer. But the computer simply says I have a really good advantage by simply playing bishop to b2 and sitting on this, because he has a very difficult time developing his kingside pieces at this point. If he tries to move g6 after bishop to b2, then we're able to open the king file. So now e6 is practically mandatory because he has to develop and get his king into safety. Now once again, bishop to b2 is the recommended move. I did not do that. So what you will see, though, however, is I'm maintaining a sufficient advantage practically to win, despite the fact that I have inaccuracies in my play. Now the computer really didn't like my next move. Bishop to b2 was still in order here, preserves a good game. I chased the bishop, and I guess now it thinks it's a little better. So He captures, I capture back. The way I look at it is I have more reinforcement from my D pawn. You know, I have all kinds of discoveries and difficulties. I want to maintain the pin on that. Now you notice the B4 pawn is still in black's way here, which, you know, if I'm able to get in rook to E1, stuff like that, he's not going to be able to chase it or prevent it by putting his bishop there. So he's actually better off not even having a pawn there, in my opinion. So now he protects, which seems to be a bit of an error. The computer is just in love with me playing bishop to B2 and getting it on that diagonal. But I've noticed computers really, really love two bishops, creating a lot of havoc. So here we have the simple capture. It seems like opening the middle is the right thing to do. You know, if he takes back with the pawn, he has a ruptured pawn structure, so he takes back with the knight, and it says it does give black the advantage if he knows what he's doing. Might follow up a bishop to d5. Once again, it's going to rupture his pawn structure after the capture, because it looks like he has to move his bishop out, and I'm not really too afraid of that. Instead, he basically falls for the possibility of having his e-pawn so isolated, and that basically lost the game here. So he captured, I captured back with the pawn, and now, as you can see, the game's over. So what happens here is a whole lot of really inaccurate play on my part, because practically everything wins. So it says he should pin the pawn, but he moves his knight, and now check. King has to move, and now bishop to g5 check leads to a disaster for black. And it just seems like too obvious, because what happens is if he, you know, he's going to get a pawn going down his throat. Instead, I just simply double attack a piece and threaten to pin it as well. So, you know, while I'm not, if you can see, prior to this move, I could have been up close to 6. Instead, I'm going to be up close to 3. So that is a criticism of play that has been leveled at me many times. It's that I'm willing to settle for a winning advantage over the most winning advantage. So it says that his best move is to move knight to a4 and head for c3 and various things, but that would block off the c file effectively, which is really desperately what he needs to do. And he didn't do it. He didn't see what was going to happen. Now, if you analyze this position, he's going to have a horrible time with this king on that square. Basically, we're going to have a control of the c file, and we're going to have control of the e file. And when that happens, as you can see, we're up close to 5. And apparently one of his only saving moves is to move rook to a6 and try to find a home for his king somewhere where it can't be hideously attacked, and which is practically an impossible task at this point. So we played a silly check here, and we went back to only being up 3. We're giving him every opportunity to go wrong, however. So says he should have checked, so he has got a place to move his queen. Now, as soon as his queen ends up on that square right there, where it is, as you can see, the game's over. We won't belabor the rest of this game, because obviously there's a check coming on b6. So he's removed the last escape square for his king, and there was no other place to put it anyway. And he had to do his best to protect the b6 square, and now the game's shot. So, as you can see, in just a few moves of the wing gambit, black's been taken apart. So, that's the end of this particular video. Thank you for watching.